welcome to today's video. Welcome to another reading vlog. I feel like I have so many books on my TBR that I'm just so excited to read, and I thought we could read my most anticipated reads on that TBR together. So that's what we're gonna do. I have a collection of my sort of immediate TBR. These are the books that I'm probably most excited about, the books that are most on my radar at the minute and that I'm most drawn to. This very much does change along with my mood. I'm very much a mood reader, so I just have to go with what I'm feeling at the time, and I always try to choose my next read based on how I'm feeling at that moment. But the ones that right now are currently on my radar, and probably will be for the next week or so, we have a few to choose from. The first one is Powerless by Elsie Silver. I don't know how I still haven't read this book. Honestly, I feel like it's been so long since I read Heartless. In case you don't know, this is the third one in the Chestnut Springs series. The second one was Heartless, and I read that months ago. It literally must have been months ago by now, and I just haven't got round to this one yet. I don't really know why. I feel like I've just been drawn to other books more than this one, and I'm also kind of just waiting until I'm in the right mood for this. But I do have a feeling this is going to be one of my favourite in the series, so I do really want to get to this before the end of the year at least. So this is very much on my radar at the minute. Then we have Just the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This is the third one in the Pop Your World series, and I really want to read this, and I know it's coming up to autumn time now, but I still really want to read this, and I don't want to have to wait until next summer, so I'm kind of thinking I should maybe prioritise this one. Then we have two Freedom McFadden books. The first one is The Boyfriend. This one actually comes out in October, so I'd really like to read this sometime soon before it comes out, and I genuinely can't wait to find out what her newest book is like. And then I also have another Freedom McFadden, which is a little satirical novella. This is The Widow's Husband's Secret Lie, and I've heard really good things about this. I've never read a Freedom McFadden novella before. I know that she has another one called The Gift, I think. She might even have a couple more, but this one and The Gift are the ones that I've heard things about. So this has very much been on my radar, and this is a newer addition to my TBR as well. And then we have Good Material by Dolly Alderton. Again, I'm so excited about this. I've been wanting to read this literally since it's in hardback, and I was waiting until it came out in paperback, and I'm so happy that I finally have a copy on my TBR. And I actually started reading the first chapter of this and was absolutely loving it. I was reading another book at the time, so I actually put this one down, but ever since then I've been wanting to pick it back up again. So this has very much been on my radar as well. And then finally we have Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, which I've been wanting to read this thriller for so long, and it just sounds so interesting, the whole concept of this. I think it's sort of a psychological thriller with sort of alternate reality type thing, which I'm so excited for. I'm so excited. So let's pick our first read out of this pile. What was the last book I read? The last book I read was Bad Blood, and then I read the novella straight after that, because I literally said that I was going to save it, and all I could think about was those characters, and I was like, but I just have the novella to read. I just have the novella, and I couldn't save it because I just missed those characters literally straight after reading Bad Blood. That I was like, I need to read it. I need to read it straight away. So I ended up reading the novella as well. So I think I'm maybe more in a romance mood, just to switch it up a bit, because that was very criminal mystery type vibe. So I think I'm gonna pick from one of these three: Powerless, Just the Summer, or Good Material. I think it kind of makes the most sense for me to go for Just the Summer, because like I said, I don't really want to wait until next summer to read this, and I've heard nothing but great things about this book, so I think we're gonna pick this one. I think so. I also absolutely love this cover. I think it's stunning and really gives the summer vibes, even though we're very much heading for autumn now. But I feel like it's a good time to pick this up. I'm literally 50 pages in and I'm loving it. I'm loving it already. Just the way that the two main characters interact from the get-go. I just love the way it's written, and I love the way that they're done. This sort of back and forth just feels so natural, and I just love it. It's really making me giggle. No, stop it, because he's literally done a pre-date multiple choice questionnaire thing. I'm obsessed with that. I love that. I actually love that. That's so cute. God. Why am I literally sat here giggling? I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed already. We're not even 100 pages in. Okay, I'm gonna need to know what she put in this book. I'm gonna need to know, because tell me why I'm already nearly 250 pages in. It's so good. It's so good. This has the same vibe that Part of Your World had for me, potentially even better than Part of Your World. I said it, I said it, I said it. I don't know what she put in here, but I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. I think it has the right balance of dealing with difficult topics and talking about them and representing them, but also having the fun side of everything as well, and having the dates that they go on and their sort of back and forth, and just the way that they bounce off each other. It's just so good. It's literally so good, and I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. I literally put this down to have a bit of a break, do some other stuff, and I couldn't stop thinking about them. I couldn't stop thinking about Justin and Emma. Justin, I love him. That rhymed. But I love him. I just love it. And the whole setup of it just means that the conflict that I think is about to happen is going to work really well because of the situation that they're both in. It's not an ideal situation for either of them, and that means that the sort of conflict that they're having is just going to work really well and make sense. We're basically following Justin. He thinks he basically has this curse where everyone that he's in a relationship with breaks up with him and then goes on to find their soulmate and ends up getting married. He's basically like the one before the one. The one before the one. And Emma has basically experienced a really similar thing. So they basically come to this conclusion that they're gonna date to then break the curse, essentially, because then they'll break up and go on to meet the one and get married to them. And they've basically agreed to 4 dates, a kiss and a breakup. That's basically like their thing that they've agreed on, that are like set things that are going to break this curse. And just with both the situations they're in, their kind of worlds don't immediately mesh together, just with the way that they are. Like, she's a travelling nurse and she doesn't stay anywhere for longer than 6 weeks at a time usually, and she's just used to being on the go and she kind of likes her life that way. And then Jacob is having a bit of a family situation, which I won't say because that was something that was kind of slowly revealed. But basically his family situation means that he has to kind of stay where he is. So their both living situations aren't immediately working well together. So they essentially are just going to go on these 4 dates, and it's just going to be while she's there for the 6 weeks. So it's going to be just for the summer. You see? You see? So we basically follow them going on these dates, interacting, and we also learn their backstory and what they're going through. And it's just so good. It's just so good. I'm loving it. And I'm so sad that I only have a little bit left. I have like 150 pages, and just the way that it's written is just so fast-paced and so easy to read. And I feel like it's one of those books where I literally forget that I'm reading because I'm just so in this world and with these characters, and I just love them. I absolutely love them. I don't know why that makes me feel emotional. Something's just been revealed that makes this whole series link together, and it just... I don't know how I didn't put the pieces together earlier, but it just completely slipped my mind, and I don't know why that makes me feel really emotional for some reason. That's so nice. This is just crazy. This is actually just crazy. I like Emma so much as a character, so much. I think she's probably one of the most relatable characters that I've probably ever read, just with the way that she deals with empathy and the boundaries that she kind of struggles to set for herself, but also how she balances having empathy for people and wanting to help people and see the best in people, how she balances that with boundaries and also looking after herself. I just think the way that that's been represented is so good, so good. And I love her. This book, this was a 5-star read. A 5-star read. I honestly did not see that coming, but I loved this book. I literally sped through it and I cannot get enough of these characters. I cannot get enough of them. Literally whenever I put this book down, I was still thinking about them and I just wanted to go back to them and just read more of them, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Justin is so sweet. He is so sweet. I just think he's so funny and I love the way he handles things, and I just think he's so suited to Emma as a character. I think he's so understanding and I just love his little quirks and I think he's so funny. And Emma, I really like Emma. I think she's such a relatable character in a lot of ways, and I like that harder topics were spoken about in this book, but I feel like I said before, it had a good balance of the harder stuff and also still being really fun and funny and light-hearted at times as well. Just their back and forth and their inside jokes were so good, and the way that this fits into the series, amazing. Literally amazing. I did not see any of that coming. I'm speechless, and now I get why people recommend definitely reading them in order, and I would 100% recommend doing that. Even if you want to just read this book, because this book is going to hit so much harder if you read the first two beforehand. And literally right up until the end, I was on the edge of my seat. I was rooting for them. Just the way it ended was so kind of unique. I don't really say too much about it, but I was literally on the edge of my seat like, okay. I like how the sort of conflicts, similar to Part of Your World, I found were very realistic and they made a lot of sense for these characters and for their story. It felt very kind of real and like it's genuinely something that would happen between these two characters. Just the whole concept of it and the whole thing of 4 dates, a kiss and a breakup. I don't know, I just loved it. I loved it, and I've literally been thinking about these two since I put the book down as well. Moving on to my next most anticipated book on my TBR. I think I've already decided. I've not started reading it yet, but I think I know which one I'm going to pick. It's just calling my name, it's just speaking to me. And that's The Boyfriend by Freida McFadden. I'm so excited to get into this, and I'm definitely in the mood for a Freida McFadden, so I feel like it makes sense to pick this one. And because this is her newest book as well, it's so anticipated for me and I can't wait to see what it's like. I literally can't wait. I knew it. Something's not right. Something is still not right. It's literally chucking it down outside and it's so windy. But that's so cozy. I love it when it's all stormy and when you're inside and you've got a good book. Perfect vibes, perfect vibes. I should have made a tea. That's the only thing that's missing. crazy. I just finished and I really enjoyed this. Super fast paced, super easy read. Miss Frida has done it again. She's literally done it again. I liked that this one felt a bit different to some of her other ones because I feel like even though I love the sort of creepy on edge atmosphere that a lot of her books have, this one felt very sort of real world, realistic in a way, because the characters were just kind of doing realistic stuff and it felt a lot more sort of plausible. I don't know if I've just been watching and reading too much about like serial killers recently. But this one just felt a lot more sort of real world than some of her other ones do. I mean, they all do have a sort of realistic element to them. But I don't know, I feel like it's because we're following a woman who seems very normal and she's just going on different dates with these guys because she's just trying to find the one, and sometimes she's going to yoga with her friends and she just feels like a very kind of normal character. I do think it was more on the slower side just at the start, but not slow as in boring, just slow as in I didn't really know where the plot was kind of gonna go. It was still really fast paced, and just the way Frida writes is just so addictive to read. I did also go in not really knowing anything about this because I didn't read the blurb because I just wanted to see what it was like without knowing anything. So I did go in having no idea pretty much. And after I finished it I did read the back, and if you read the back then you'll know what the plot is, but I kind of went in not knowing. So the start for me was just a bit slower than some of her other ones, but like I said, not boring in any way. I just love the way she writes. I just think it's so easy and quick to read, and I just honestly fly through her books. And this is definitely up there with one of my favourites. I think it would probably be similar to sort of Neverlie and the Inmate in my head, I think, because I'm gonna rate this 4 stars. It's just a very solid addictive thriller and I really enjoyed it, and I like that it does feel different to some of her other ones just with the plot and the sort of characters that she's created in this one. Still, Ward D remains to be my favourite. I don't know what it was about that book, I honestly don't, but I couldn't get enough of it. So that still remains my favourite, but this is definitely up there within the top 5 so far. And I think for my next book, I actually want to start it tonight because I'm just in the mood to read. And I'm thinking of starting Good Material by Dolly Alderton because ever since I got this has been so highly anticipated for me. And I think it's finally time, and I'm not really in the mood for a romance or another thriller, and I feel like I haven't recovered from reading Fourth Wing, so I'm not really in the mood to go into a fantasy either. And this one's more literary fiction, I think, and it's not romance as such, but I think it kind of discusses relationships. I think. All I really know about this is that it's about a breakup, but it's all from the guy's perspective. I'm so excited to read another Dolly Alderton because I literally haven't read one of her books since Everything I Know About Love, and that was one of the books that literally got me into reading, and it was one of the first books where I was like, I literally can't put this book down, and I just really liked the way that she wrote that, and I thought it was really funny and also really relatable. So I'm excited to see what another one of her books is like. Also, I went to the works today and I didn't actually plan on buying anything, but I just wanted to kind of have a look at what they'd got, and then I saw this and I literally had to get it. I had to get it. It's a new release. I just thought it looked so fun. It's called Let's Split Up, and it's really giving kind of creepy, borderline horror, thriller, Halloween kind of vibe, and I think this would be perfect for October. And I really want to film a sort of reading spooky books type reading vlog in October, so I thought this would be absolutely perfect for that. But when I picked this up I was like, I literally need that because look at the edges. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. That's probably one of my favourite sprayed edges probably ever. I love that. I love that. And yeah, really random, but I just wanted to share that because I got it today and I'm really excited about it. Time in for a little update on Good Material. I'm about halfway through, and this is basically following Andy. And Andy's girlfriend has just broken up with him, and he has no idea why. He can't understand her reasoning for it. He's kind of trying to work out what's going through her head and why she's broken up with him, because it came very much out of the blue for him. He's also a struggling comedian, so we kind of get an insight to him and his experience trying to make it as a comedian, and also how he views his sort of colleagues that are doing the same thing, so other comedians who he sees becoming very successful, and just how that makes him feel and how it affects his view of himself. It also focuses on his friendships as well, and just how the age that he is, I think he's around 35, and it just shows how different people's lives are, and especially with him and his friends, and just the comparison between their lives, because he's newly single but his friends like married and they have kids, and things like going on a boys' night out isn't the same as it used to be, because they've all just kind of moved on with their life in a sense. So it's very, very character driven. I feel like there isn't really much of a plot, which is not a bad thing, but it is very character driven. Like, I have no idea what's going to happen to Andy and where this is kind of going to go, because it literally feels like we're reading about a man's life and the fallout of this breakup happening. Dolly Alderton's writing I really, really like. I think she's got such a nice style of writing. It's very, very readable, and it's also very funny at times, and it just really has that sort of British humour element to it, which I'm really, really enjoying. It's very, very different to anything that I've read recently, I think. Actually, probably at all. I genuinely can't think of a book that is really similar to this, because like I said, it is just very character driven. Like, there's no plot. There's no plot other than it's following him after a breakup and him trying to kind of piece his life back together. But that's as far as it goes. So it's an interesting read, and I'm really intrigued to kind of see what the second half of the book is like and where he's going to end up, because I really don't know how this whole thing is going to kind of conclude. I don't know. It's almost like anything could happen in his life. I've also been listening to some of it on audiobook as well, and it's very, very easy to listen to on audiobook because it almost feels like a diary entry. Just feels like a man literally reading his diary. So that's how I'm finding it so far. I will update you probably when I finished it, because I don't see there being that many different thoughts in the last half of it. But I might be wrong. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I have finished reading Good Material by Dolly Alderton, and this was an interesting read. I will say that it is an interesting read. I feel like not a lot happened. I think I said this before, but it's very, very character driven, and the plot is literally just following Andy going about his life. And I will say that towards the end of this book, you do get Jen's perspective, and I thought that was really, really interesting, and the way that was written was just so real and really interesting after you've read it all from Andy's perspective. This is honestly unlike anything else that I've read. I feel like Dolly Alderton's books aren't very plot heavy. It's more like kind of the study of people and how they act and how they behave, which is still really interesting to read. I do really like the way Dolly Alderton writes, and I think she writes in a really witty way, and her writing is very easy to read and enjoyable. I just think maybe I didn't really get on with Andy as a character that much. He was fine. He was fine. I just preferred Jen. So for rating, I think I'm going to give this 3 stars, which is still a solid book, and I would recommend it, especially if you like these kinds of books, because it is very kind of literary fiction kind of vibe. But that actually brings us to the end of this video. I feel like it's been a good reading week, getting through some of my most anticipated reads, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for coming along with me in this little reading vlog, and I will hopefully see you in my next video. I'm literally still thinking about Justin and Emma. I'm still thinking about them. I loved that book. Loved it.